Hello, I'm Peg O'Sullivan, family support worker with Tralee Springboard Project, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about anxiety, given the current climate we're in, and just basically understanding what is anxiety and how do we manage it a bit better. The information I'm bringing you today is from a course I have done with Dr. David Coleman, psychologist, on anxiety with Anoka learning, and it's called Scared Kids. So it applies to children, but I have kind of just shaped it up a little bit to look at it from the perspective of ourselves as adults, teenagers, young children. So it can be applied to kind of anyone. So basically, what is anxiety? So it's estimated that 1 in 12 children at any one time are going to suffer from anxiety. So anxiety is actually very necessary for us to have. It keeps us safe in dangerous situations, because it alerts your body to prepare for a flight or fight response when in a situation and to help us get out of that situation. So you're actually born with anxiety. So if you look at a newborn baby, they get startled and throws its hands out in a response to a noise or something that has startled them. Or a crying baby, if it's soothed by an experienced parent or caregiver who is calm and confident, the baby will get a sense of that and it will be soothed quite quickly. But if it's someone that's not used to babies and not confident being around babies, the baby can get a sense of this anxiety and will become more anxious and remain more fretful. So a lot of my friends, as I have older children, when they became first-time moms and I was in the house, I was able to pick up a crying baby and the baby would soothe quite quickly. And they would say, oh, you've a magic touch. But it's not. It just came that I was calm and I was confident in dealing with the child. So we're aware that it's there from birth. However, as we get older, we start to think as well as feel. And this is when things can get more complex. So it's now not just an instinctive reaction. It's about our perception and the situation that we're in. But anxiety is always going to remain an emotion, and we will carry it in varying degrees throughout our lives. It's only when it cannot be sustained, when it cannot be soothed, or if it's a case that the source of the worry is gone, and so in theory our child should be able to remain calm but they can't, or we should be able to remain calm but we can't, then we consider it as a problem. When we're experiencing anxiety, we are also experiencing stress. So stress and anxiety are very closely linked, they kind of go hand in hand. So this chart is a good model to understand how you and I might experience the same level of anxiety, but how it's going to be different, and it's the same for children. When we do need a small bit of anxiety, we don't need it to overwhelm us and become a problem. So if we look at this stress curve, you will see performance on one side. This is how well we can perform a task going from low to high. And on the horizontal axis, you have the stress level going from low to high. So we all need a little bit of stress to keep us going. So think of the stress around exam time and how we have to try and do a little bit of study or deadline in a job, which makes us focus on the task in hand in order to get it done. It might be a little bit stressful. We might be stressed out a little bit about it, but it forces us to get it done, okay? But if we get to a point that we are experiencing too much stress or we feel overloaded, our performance is going to drop off and we can become exhausted. And as the stress continues to rise, our performance drops off even further, which is now we're starting to experience anxiety or panic or even anger, or we have this sense that it's just all too much and a sense of almost wanting to break down. So what counts as too much stress and anxiety? So this is going to differ for everyone. So look at the current situation we're in with COVID-19. If you were young and in good health with no elderly people in your life, this might feel like a weird situation. News reports might be causing a little bit of anxiety, but you're not overwhelming. So you're able to get up and it allows you to plan and fill your time with activities and focus on your day. However, if you're in your 50s with underlying health conditions and elderly parents in their 70s or 80s, then this situation is a very different experience. You're more stressed out and more worried as you're aware that there's lives on the line. So while you have two people in the exact same environment, their experience is very different. So when we think about anxiety, there's no point in saying no one should or shouldn't have it. It's a completely different experience for everyone. So what is common or normal anxiety or fears? So if you're walking at night and you hear footsteps behind you, your body's going to alert you to danger. Your heart might beat faster, pumping blood to vital organs. Your breath becomes faster, you go on full alert mode, scanning the environment for escape. So this is your body's natural fight or flight response, and it's a healthy response to alert us to danger and allow us to get out. So for younger children, it could be the separation of a parent in an unfamiliar setting will trigger the I don't feel safe response and cause the anxiety. And the school years and teenage years in terms of anxiety are the most complex years because children are really beginning to think about things. So it's not so much of being afraid of dark or spiders anymore. They start to think about issues that they are worried about. So we're aware that all people can react and feel all different levels of anxiety, and David Coleman uses the Cbt model to conceptualize children, adults and people in general. So Cbt stands for Cognitive Behavioral Theory Model of Understanding People. This model suggests that we have the way, this model suggests that we behave a certain way, our feelings are a certain way, our physical selves, and then we have the way we think about things. So all of these 4 areas are connected and they all influence each other. So they influence each other in lots of different ways. And when one thing changes, it will have an effect on something else changing. So if you're feeling positive about something and your thoughts are positive, then you're more than likely going to behave in a positive way and do an activity that's probably good for you. So if you feel negative about the same thing, then you are going to think negatively and probably not do it. So an example of this might be a footballer. If this is just a look at how when we change one variable, one element of the Cbt model, how it can have a knock-on effect. So if you take a football player, his life revolves around football, training, constantly playing games, and he gets injured. Okay, so he's out for 8 weeks. So this is a change to his physical self, and this will have a knock-on effect in terms of his social life. He can't train, so now there's a change in his behaviour. So he's going to be sitting at home all day recovering. So as he's sitting at home, he might start to play computer games. Another change in the behaviour. He might start to really get into this and forget about his sports completely. Or he could be sitting thinking, if I can't train, I might make it in a team. If I don't make it in a team, I'll lose out in the final. And so the thoughts start to become negative and causing him stress and anxiety. So we can see how a change in one area, so the physical in this example, has a knock-on effect on all the other areas. So this applies to anxiety as well. We have an anxious feeling that might lead us to think in a negative or anxious way. Not only do we have to think about the 4 elements, but we also need to look at the environment that the person's in. So the environment that we are in will have a big impact on how we think, feel, act, and on our physical selves. So have you ever heard of the concept street angel, house devil? So a child that winds everybody up at home, doesn't seem to ever listen, yet in school he's doing really well and a joy to teach, and you're wondering, is that my child? So the only thing that's different is the environment. So perhaps learning about strict rules, routines and consequences in school has given them a sense of security, and at home they might need to have to act up all the time to get attention. Or a child who is happy and carefree at home, but when it comes to going to school, it provokes massive anxiety. So that could be something to do with the children in the school, the teachers, or the whole academic process is bothering them. So when it comes to anxiety, we have to think in terms of behaviour, thoughts, physical selves, and the feeling of the anxiety itself. So we can use the Cbt model to help us understand how we or our children act, how they think, how they feel, and their physical selves. And that this interconnectedness of these 4 areas also allows us to be able to understand their anxiety. We can understand the way they might think anxious, the way they might feel anxious, and how they behave anxious, and how this affects their physical selves. The goal is then to make a positive change in one of these areas, and that can begin a positive interaction in other areas. In this current climate of COVID-19, we're being forced, for the well-being of our country, to act in a way that is totally unfamiliar for us. Our behaviour has to change. We can't go out, we can't see our friends, we have to be aware to constantly wash our hands, we're restricted to how we exercise, our whole country's on shutdown, people are out of jobs, there is a virus that is killing people all over the world, and that is scary. Our anxiety levels are up. Our stress levels might be up. And this is normal. It's normal to be worried and scared at this time. It's normal to think about what might happen, and it's normal at this time to have concerns for the people we love. Young children and teens may also be experiencing this anxiety, and if the environment that you are in is an anxious and stressed out environment, then this will lead to anxiety levels worsening and could present in the behaviour being more challenging. So in order to make a positive change, we need to change a positive element. So this applies for the young and the old. So let's look at our thinking. We could try and think more positively. This will end. I'm doing everything I can to keep me and my family safe. I am not going out and putting people at danger, and I'm following all the guidelines. Or look at our behaviour. Instead of sitting down watching terrifying news, make a plan each day. Plan on studying, maybe reading a book, cooking, listening to music, do some painting, cleaning the garden, organise your wardrobe. Or we could change our physical self, not go around in pyjamas all day or sleeping all morning, getting up and getting dressed, going out for a walk, eating as healthy as we can. All of these little changes will lead you to feeling better. If you're the parent of younger children, acknowledge how difficult this is for them not to see family members or friends. Reassure them that this will end. We're just not sure when. Stop watching the news or talking about deaths around them. Play games, go for walks, colour. Have a routine for them during the day. This will give them a sense of safety and security. So thank you for listening. I hope this information was helpful, and hopefully we'll talk again soon. Hello, I'm Peg O'Sullivan,